Welcome to Football Game Plan's Best Bets. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. We are in week 3 of the NFL and week 4 in college football, and this is a unique year as we're dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. So that's why I wanted to take a look at what we have learned so far about injuries and how to navigate through that before you place your bets. With all of the injuries that are happening at a ridiculous rate right now in the NFL, I think the best advice from a betting perspective is to wait until the last possible moment to lay your bet on the lines against the spread or even the money line, because a lot of times we won't know these injury reports until later, and things can happen in the course of a week that can alter the line both positively and negatively. So if you can get to a line maybe like game day or morning of, that would be the best bet to try to navigate through all of these injuries that we're seeing so far. We already talked about what we could do to try to help navigate through this COVID-19 pandemic in college football. You know, you may want to stay away from certain games. You may want to lean more on home favorites. But I think in the NFL, with all of the injuries that we just saw in week 2, I think it would be best to try to wait until morning of to lay your bet. That way you give the full week, you give Vegas a full week to adjust the line to whatever the number will be. But the morning of, that's probably when it's best to lay your bet. Now let's take a look at some of my favorite prop bets going into the weekend for both college football and the NFL. In the Giants 49ers game, one of the props I saw was plus 108 total turnovers in the entire game is 2-3. When you look at Daniel Jones putting the ball on the ground at least once and throwing an interception, that's 2 right there. Plus they're dealing with an inexperienced quarterback on the other side or an experienced quarterback with a beat up offense. To me, that's an easy bet to make. So take that plus 108 in that ball game. Plus 240 for the Los Angeles Rams to score first against the Buffalo Bills. Again, their offense is a well-oiled machine. I do think they can hit the ground running against Buffalo and will get in the end zone before the Bills. In the Panthers game, I still like the Panthers offense, so I'm taking them plus 129 to score a touchdown first against the Chargers. Listen, this offense, even without Christian McCaffrey, spreads the ball around. They do a great job of working short, intermediate down the field. I think they will get in the end zone before the Chargers do, even if the Chargers are starting with Tyrod Taylor or even Justin Herbert. At plus 525, I like the Colts to win between 19 and 24 points against the Jets. This is a game that I think will be a huge blowout on Sunday. So yes, this is an easy bet for me to make. And finally, plus 112, the Vikings will have more punts than Tennessee. I love that Titans defense going up against Kirk Cousins, who's skittish in the pocket. You're lucky I didn't bet the prop bet that has them getting a safety in this game. He has had a safety so far this season in both of their contests, but I'm taking plus 112 that their offense won't be as effective against Tennessee. Be sure to order your copy of the Go-Go Offense by Coach Brennan Marion on footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Coach Marion goes through the ins and outs of his explosive offense, one that's tearing up the college football field and putting a lot of points on the scoreboard. Again, you can order your copy at footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Welcome back to Football Game Plan's Best Bets. Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and now we've reached a show where it's time to get into my best bets of the weekend, and we'll start in college football. We'll start in Cincinnati, where the Bearcats welcome in Army West Point. The Black Knights come in with their option attack off of 2 weeks of rest and preparation, and you know how I feel about option football. Although I'm a big fan of Desmond Ridder, the quarterback for Cincinnati, 2 weeks to prepare for the Bearcats offense and their defense. I think Army will definitely keep this close, so take Army and the points. Next, we have Georgia Southern and their option attack traveling down to Lafayette, Louisiana to take on my Raging Cajuns. And again, when you have option football teams going into hostile situations, they're going to control the clock. They're going to shrink that ball game. So again, trust the option, trust Shy Wirtz, the quarterback, who makes it a quadruple option, and take Georgia Southern and the points. We go to the ACC now between Miami and Florida State, and Miami is laying 11 points against the Seminoles. What I learned last week watching Miami football was the fact that they can run the heck out of the football, and they have a pretty strong defense, both of which is why I like them minus 11 versus Florida State. Next, we go to the Big 12, where you have Kansas State as 28-point underdogs against Oklahoma. Listen, I'm a Skylar Thompson fan. I think he makes it an 11-on-11 game. He's very efficient with the football, and I think this 28 number is a little bit too high. So take Kansas State in the points to keep it closer than usual against the Sooners. Baylor welcomes in Kansas, and I just don't have an idea of which Kansas Jayhawks team will show up. Will it be the one that I saw last year go up to Boston College and win a tough football game, or will it be the one I saw last week against Coastal Carolina, lay an egg? I'm betting on the latter. I'm going to lay those 17.5 points with the Baylor Bears. Next, we have a huge game in the SEC as we welcome back SEC football as Mississippi State travels to Death Valley to take on the LSU Tigers. They are 16.5-point underdogs. I don't know which LSU team they think is showing up out there on game day with everything that they lost. I just don't see how they can blow out Mississippi State by that spread. So take Mississippi State and the points. And speaking of blowout, I think this is the blowout of the week. UCF taking on East Carolina. We saw UCF just put it to Georgia Tech last weekend. And I think because of that and how they want to play and how they want to attack this season, getting to the playoffs, trust UCF all season long, lay those 27 points with the Knights. And finally, for college football, Kentucky and Auburn. I'm a big Bo Nix fan. I think he has a chance to really take this Auburn team to the SEC title game, and because of their tempo, because of their pace, because of his experience, I like them over Kentucky, who's a bit one-dimensional in my opinion on offense. So lay those 7.5 points with the Tigers. Now, a game you want to stay away from, I'll give you two games you want to stay away from. Stay away from that Tulsa-Arkansas State game. Two very good football teams, and this one can go either way. So it's such a tight, close spread. I will stay away from that one. I would also stay away from Louisville and Pitt. Why? You can't trust either team. I got burned by Louisville last weekend, and Pitt burned me last week as well against Syracuse. So you really can't trust these two teams. If anything, I probably will take the over in that game more so than betting against the spread. Now let's move over to the NFL, and we'll start with the Panthers taking on the Chargers. And this game has the Chargers favored by 6.5, but we know about the quarterback situation, whether it's going to be Tyrod Taylor recovering from a weird injury last week, or will they go with the rookie Justin Herbert, who played really well against the Chiefs. But this game for me will come down to the Panthers offense versus maybe a defense that's going up against an inexperienced quarterback in Herbert, or an experienced guy coming off of an injury in Tyrod Taylor. With that being the case, I think this will be a very close game, one that's going to be closer than the 6.5 spread. So once again, I'm taking the Panthers and the points. Next, we have a really good matchup between the Rams and the Bills, and the Bills are 2.5-point favorites. This will be a point of attack dream for all of you football aficionados because both teams are very strong along both sides of the line of scrimmage. So which offense can navigate through a rough start because the defensive lines are really good in this game? I'm going to take the Rams in this one. I think their offense is a well-oiled machine. They've been a little bit more battle-tested. The Bills have beaten the Dolphins and the Jets. I think the Rams get this one up there in Buffalo, so take the Rams and the points. The New York Jets take their show on the road this week to Indianapolis to take on the Colts, and this is a huge line. The Jets are 11-point underdogs, but when you look at what they are bringing to the table offensively, you can understand why Vegas has this line the way it is. And because of that, I don't think the Jets will have many opportunities to score the football. Their offense is pedestrian. They're going to have to lean heavily on that ground game to try to shrink this ball game. But I believe the Colts will be able to maximize every possession they have with the football. So lay those 11 with Indianapolis. The Giants head into their matchup versus San Francisco as 4-point underdogs, but they catch the 49ers at a really good time. They're coming off of a week last week against the Jets where they lost virtually all of their star players. This game will not feature Nick Bosa, won't have Solomon Thomas, Richard Sherman, probably won't have George Kittle. They may not have Jimmy Garoppolo. They won't have Raheem Mostert. This is the best game on the schedule right now for the Giants to get a win, and I think they will. So I would lay the point or take the points with the Giants and take the Giants on the money line to win straight up. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel out west to face the Denver Broncos, and this is another game where the Bucs will face a team that's dealing with a lot of injuries to key players. Drew Lock, their starting quarterback, will be out this game, and Courtland Sutton, their star wide receiver, will miss the entire season with a torn ACL. And we saw the Bucs offense start to find its rhythm last week against against Carolina. We saw the run game start to pop. Leonard Fournette went over 100 yards. I think the defense will be tough in this ball game, but I can trust that with more opportunities with the football because of an ineffective Denver Bronco offense with the new quarterback, I'm laying the 6.5 with Tampa Bay. And the Titans go into their matchup against Minnesota as 2.5-point favorites. And I like the Titans in this one, so lay the points with Tennessee. Minnesota will be without Anthony Barr, who's out for the season with the torn pectoral muscle. And Kirk Cousins right now is a straight liability for that Vikings offense. And he's going up against a ferocious pass rush in Tennessee. So for me, this is an easy one. Take that 2.5 points right now while it's that low before they try to sneak it up a little bit higher. So lay the points with Tennessee. 2 games to stay away from. First, stay away from that Browns and Washington football team game. The Browns offense looked outstanding against the Bengals. The Bengals can't really stop the run. They meet up this week against a very good defensive front in Washington who can also pressure the quarterback. So I see this game being very close. Could be a tricky one. I would stay away from it. I would also stay away from the Houston-Pittsburgh game. I have a sneaky feeling that this is the game where the deep passing game of the Texans finally starts to catch fire, and I can see Houston maybe winning this ball game. So I would completely stay away from it from a betting perspective. So that's it for this week's episode of Football Game Plan's Best Bets. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Feel free to follow me on all of my social media accounts. And don't forget to check out and subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network located at youtube.com/footballgameplan. Also subscribe on iTunes to Football Game Plan Podcast and leave us a 5-star rating.